GMAN, here we go, episode 7.
Episode 7, man. These are flying by, aren't they?
They are. It's crazy. And look, thank you so much to everyone that leaves a comment, shares, everything you guys do to help these episodes keep on flying. We appreciate it. It's funny because me and G-Man spoke on, I think, Tuesday.
Yeah.
We were filming this Wednesday evening for the record, and we was like, there ain't really much to talk about. Then all of a sudden, loads to talk about.
Isn't it always the way? That's why sometimes when we film on a Thursday, we're kind of like, nothing can happen. And then there's been the odd Friday where we woke up and we've been like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah, like Daniel Dubois pulling out of his fight against Joseph Parker and Josh Padley stepping in to fight Shakur Stevenson. There's a lot that can go wrong when we film these early, but just to make sure we get them out, we're filming them a couple of days early. All right, let's start with the boxing on the weekend. In fact, let's start with the boxing that happened about 18 hours ago. Keith Thurman in Australia beating Brock Jarvis, stopping him in the third round. Keith Thurman's back?
He's back to knocking people out, but I wouldn't exactly go that far. Keith Thurman in the first 2 rounds, I didn't think he looked good at all.
Yeah.
I thought he looked slow. He looked easy to hit. He looked old.
Yeah.
He looked like someone... Keith Thurman's a frustrating one for me because I followed his career since when he was interim WBA champion. That's going back over a decade ago, and he always looked so good.
Yeah.
Always looked like this guy is so talented. And he won his unified title from Danny Garcia 8 years ago. It was actually the same day Bellew fought Hay the first time. And I thought, right, sky's the limit. And he's done literally nothing since then.
Yeah.
Literally he has done nothing.
Yeah,
and it's just frustrating.
It's crazy, honestly. I mean, to add to that, you're talking one fight in 5 years. Obviously, that's changed now because of what happened against Brock Jarvis. But that one fight was Barrios.
Exactly.
Back in 2022. Before that, Pacquiao in 2019. So he's not an active fighter. He is a retired fighter that's fighting again.
He's a retired fighter that is now coming up to 40.
Yeah. Was he 36, 37?
36 years old. He was 28 when he beat Danny Garcia. Imagine a 28-year-old like winning those titles, everything. The world's at his footsteps. And he just decides, no, I think he didn't fight. After 2017, it was nearly 2 years before he fought again. And then another, 2 years before he fought again, or 3 years. It's just crazy.
You know what? Now you say that, and look, I'm going to give him some credit because, again, I guess to fight once in 5 years, and look, I know he didn't look great in the first 2 rounds, but I thought the third round, the finish was almost prime Keith Thurman, the uppercut, then the big right hand. But the fact, you're right, the fact that he was 28 unifying, and we didn't get to see him versus Errol Spence or Terence Crawford, when they're around the same age, when you think about it. Crawford's 2 years older. It's a travesty.
It's a shame. Errol Spence, only a couple of months later, wins his world title. He's calling for Keith Thurman. Terence Crawford moves up. Your Dennis Ugas, of all people. Even he was knocking around. And we saw literally nothing. I know he had injuries during the time he did try and come back and, have a couple of fights, but he didn't seem to have much urgency about really coming back.
There was no want to continue fighting, unless it was something special.
Exactly.
Hence Pacquiao.
And once Pacquiao beat him, and it was close, then it was just like, right, I'll see you in a couple of years. And you say we saw a return to one time looking for the knockout. Keith Thurman, they called him runtime for a while because all he seemed to do was not get knockouts. He'd run around the ring, he'd box. I think he knows he doesn't have his legs anymore. Yeah. So he has to be one time again. I think that's all it was. Yeah,
and look, let's be honest as well. Brock Jarvis, and I said this on my YouTube channel, he was a super bantamweight 4.5 years ago, 5 years ago.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
That's actually insane.
You know how insane that is. And it's insane as well because he physically looks like he's 154 pounds, but I'm guessing that's just from the gym. That's just lifting weights. He's naturally not 154 pound at all. He fought Liam Parrott at 140 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
What's he doing at 154? Why is he there?
Just letting that sink in. He was knocked out and around by Liam Parrott, a former 140-pound champion. This was at 154, and as you said, started his career at 122. That makes no sense.
Honestly.
And people say, he's a bit chinny. Mate, if you start your career at 122 and then fight a 154-pounder, if they hit you, they're going to do you some damage.
Yeah, and one thing we know that Keith can do is crack a little bit. Say what you want.
Can.
Once he sits on these shots, he can crack a bit. The timing came back in that third round. In terms of what next for him, if he is going to stay around, again, he said this after Barrios, and then we hadn't seen him for 3 years. But I do think he looks at the landscape right now and thinks there are money fights out there, especially in Australia. Zarafa's there, Tim Zoo's there, and I think it could be either of those guys next. I would like to see him have a fight against a proper 154-pounder before he fights those guys. Brock Jarvis isn't a 154-pounder. And I don't mean an elite 154-pounder. I mean someone that is just 154 pounds. Someone that's had a career of fighting at 154 pounds. And then let's see.
I would say Jason Rosario.
Oh,
154 pounder, former champion. He's
Pretty
a champion, very big, huge man at that weight. But he's a very limited fighter. You know, he beat J-Rock, who's always had some chin issues. I think that'd be a perfect fight for Keith Thurman because it will tell us where he is against a real, I mean, in the nice way, Brock Javez. You know, you can't say, oh, I beat a 154 pounder. Man, he was knocked out 2 years ago at 140. Like, it's not the same.
Okay.
So someone like that, or even J-Rock, former champion, you know, he's always had chin issues, though, that's the only thing. But people like that, I think they'd tell us where Keith Thurman is with regards to that weight. He's talking about Tim Tszyu, and he was actually meant to. Do you remember last year it was meant to be him instead of Fondora?
Yes, I do.
Who went in there. And Tim Tszyu, his career is kind of going almost in a different way, because you look at someone like a Tim Tszyu and you say, well, Keith Thurman's just been inactive. That's why he looks bad. How's he going to look after 2 really horrific fights?
Yeah, it's interesting to see. But look, one thing we do know, Keith Thurman's a name. As you say, he's a former unified champion. He talks the talk. He'll sell the fight. He's going to be fantastic at press conferences. And he adds something to any fight card. It's Keith Thurman.
Yeah.
And I know that shouldn't mean much. It should be a case of what have you done for me lately? But we know what boxing's like. You put a star name there, people are going to be interested. And I'll be interested in seeing what Keith Thurman does. All right, let's park that then. Let's bring it closer to home. Lauren Price fought Tasha Jonas, Royal Albert Hall. Me and you kind of both got our predictions right. But I think we thought it would be a bit more competitive. I had it a shutout for Lauren Price. I thought she won every single round. And she just looked just the fresher of the two, bigger. Obviously, she's a lot younger. I think she's 10 years younger than Tasha Jonas. She's an Olympian. She almost looks like the new breed of female boxers. I think she looked frightening.
Oh, yeah, she looked brilliant in there. You know, I think me and you were in agreement. We both said, look, we like Natasha Jonas. She's a just tremendous ambassador for the sport. We kind of knew, right, she's not going to win this. We don't think she'll win, but we thought she'll be game.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, like, I struggled to give Natasha Jonas a round. I mean, the foot speed, the strength, everything. It was, you were looking at it and you were like, right, I was expecting you to win.
I was surprised at how fast she was.
It's incredible, isn't
it? Maybe I'm guilty of not having watched enough of Lauren Price's fights, but the ones I've seen, I don't remember her being that fast.
No, neither do I.
I don't know if it's because Tasha was so slow or she had just sped up.
No,
but it looked like someone was fighting at speed 1 and one was fighting at speed 1.5.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think Natasha Jonas necessarily slowed down because she hasn't shown that.
Yeah.
It can happen overnight, yeah, but she hadn't shown that. I mean, Lauren Price was just on it from the get-go. You're like, whoa, where was this? Because there's times I looked at her and I was always impressed by what she did, but she never stood out. There was nothing about her in her previous wins that you looked and thought, oh wow,
there's nothing. I agree, it's a good point. There's nothing where you felt special.
Exactly.
Like good, very good at everything,
very solid,
but nothing is a 9 or a 10. I still don't think she has 9 or 10 punch power. In fact, I know she doesn't.
Oh no, that's definitely
that's not there. Even though it looks physically like she's got that, I don't think she has. But in terms of speed, in terms of punch output, in terms of accuracy, she's a 9 and 10. And I actually make her favourite. And some people maybe have jumped the gun a bit because Sandy and Michaela Meyer are very good and have proven it against very good girls. But I make her a favourite against the winner of that.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah, okay.
So do I. That's going to be a good fight. But Sandy Ryan, I think she's a good fighter, as is Michaela Meyer. But what I seen from both them in comparison to what I seen with Laura Price on Friday, I was like, yeah, you're not beating her.
Okay. Are we heading towards a Clarissa Shields super fight showdown? I mean, if you're Clarissa, I mean, there is no one else. I mean, Savannah,
really
yes, but there's no one else. I mean, if you're Clarissa, you should be hoping that Lauren fights the winner of Michaela and Sandy, beats them, and then jumps up to 154. And I think Clarissa can still make 154. It's tight, but I think she could potentially make it.
It's a push.
Yeah, it's a push.
I reckon she probably could. And I think you're right. I mean, if you think about it, Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, they are not going to go there. It'd be ridiculous. It make no sense.
Yeah.
So if Lauren Price can beat the winner of Ryan versus Michaela Meyer, then yeah, I'd love to see that fight. I think it'd be interesting. I would like to see Savannah Marshall have one more crack.
Same.
And then after that, right, let's do it. Let's do Lauren Price versus Clarissa Shields.
Let's get Lauren there from winning big fights. So whether it be, again, Sandy Ryan, Michaela Meyer winner, Chantel Cameron jumping up maybe to 147. I think that could be a good fight. Chantel's very aggressive.
That'd be a great fight. That'd be a really good fight.
Yeah, Chantel will fight her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Really fight her. And I think she can land a couple of good shots as well. So look, all good for Lauren Price. Sticking at home, Harlem Eubank got a good win. I think his first fight at 147 pounds.
Yeah.
He's been a super lightweight for I think the majority of his career.
I think the majority, he might have had 1 or 2 fights that were just kind of like nothing fights, or something like that. But this was his first at 147. I don't want to sound harsh on him, but he looked good, but against they shot the bits, Tyrone McKenna. I mean, McKenna looked shot to bits.
Yeah,
so,
Ross McKenna's lost 4 of his last 6
4 of his last 5 or something
Yeah,
like that. Like, and he's been stopped in those as well. Stopped earlier as well. So I wasn't surprised he stopped McKenna.
Good punch selection, though.
Very good punch
shots.
selection.
Yeah.
So he did impress me in regards to that. I'm just not going to jump the gun and say, oh my God, now he's going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to look and say, right, you stop McKenna, you should be stopping him. Let's see you fight someone with a bit more life in the tank.
You know, okay, that's interesting. Let's kind of go through the 147s in this country then. You got Michael Mickinson.
That's the first name that came to my head.
He's
exactly.
Desperate for a fight. I mean, he's all over my Twitter timeline saying, Ade, you should be shouting me out for something. Chris Congo's there. Obviously, Conor Walker looks like he's going to fight Pat McCormack. You got Echo Usman versus Josh Taylor. He's nowhere near that level.
No.
But I like Michael Mickinson, who's desperate for a fight. He's a bit of a mover. Obviously, no punch power, but he will move and he will cause you problems. I don't mind that one.
You say no punch power. I think it's underrated. I mean, he's dropped a couple of people.
They seem to get up all the time.
They do. But like, you're not going to give him a free hit.
No.
Put it like that. You're not going to give him a free hit.
No, you're right.
I'd love to see that fight.
Yeah.
I think that would tell us a lot about Harlem Eubank because he's gone. Like, we forget he's been pro for years.
He's 31.
Exactly. This isn't
no spring
someone who's
chicken,
just turned over in the last year or two. Now we're seeing him. He's been a pro since at least 2018. So it's get a move on. 31 years old, no spring chicken at that weight.
Yeah, it's a shame that we didn't get the Adam Azim fight.
Oh, it's a real
Remember
shame.
that? They came in the ring, did a face-off, and then nothing happened.
No, we literally decided to go and fight O'Hara Davis after that. You're kind of like, what? Oh,
Yeah,
fair
very
enough.
strange.
Why?
So it's a shame we didn't get that. That would have been interesting to see how that played out, but I would have favoured Adam Azim because I think he's a worldly talent. All right, that's done. Sticking with Eubank, and this is the big news that kind of broke 24 hours ago. Chris Eubank Jr. fined £100,000 by the British Boxing Board of Control for that egg slap.
Excellent. And I think he tweeted saying it was worth every penny.
So that suggests he's going to pay it.
That suggests he doesn't care. He's going to pay it. To hell with it.
I find that crazy. Honestly, I find it excessive. I find it a bit too much. It's not like Chris has priors. Like and I said this again today. If it was Derek Chisora, then okay, cool, because Derek does so many crazy things, and you've probably been warned 1,000 times. I can't think of anything in any press conference where, apart from saying a few silly things, where Chris has overstepped the line. So where do you get 100? Where do you pluck 100,000, that number, from to slap him for that?
Well, that's it. Like, I mean, you look at his, past discretions and stuff like that. Yeah, he said a few silly things at press conferences, but nothing, crazy or anything like that. And then this, okay, fair enough. Whether you agree or disagree, 100 grand? They literally just chucked a number out of their head and said, right, just stick it on there, put 100 grand down there. And when you think of it like this, people have done worse. They have done way worse.
Way worse.
Press conferences, weigh-ins in the UK. Where are the fines? And if they are fines, are they only like a slap on the wrist? Oh, 5 grand or this, that, and the other. It's like, where do you get 100 grand from?
Yeah, it's almost, they're taking the piss a little bit.
Exactly.
It's almost, they know that he's going to get paid a huge amount of money for this fight, and they're like, okay, look, we'll just fine him whatever.
And he's probably made the British board with that one act as well, more money as well.
Yeah, and he's made everyone more money.
Exactly.
Think about what he's done. I mean, that fight reverberated around the world because of that slap. Don't get me wrong, everyone was going to be invested anyway. But that slap made everyone in the US talk about it. I was there a couple of weeks after. My sister messaged me, like people that had no interest in the fight. It was like, oh, I don't really want to see it. All of a sudden, like, oh my God, I want to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Even Conor would have walked away thinking, it was worth it because that's done a few extra zeros on the pay-per-view numbers.
Once he calmed down from all that, he would have thought, all right, any doubt we had about selling at the stadium, it's gone now. It's done it. He's literally sold it.
Let's play devil's advocate here. Give me a reason why they were right to find him.
To be honest with you, I'm struggling to find a reason.
Good.
I'm struggling because I'm thinking, look, at the end of the day, you're selling the fight. No one was injured. It was an egg. I'm sure there are schools where a teacher walks out and gets an egg thrown at them. Literally, that's what I said yesterday in a video when I did about it. I'm sure there's a school where a teacher walks out, gets hit with an egg, wipes himself down, and moves on. That's what I thought.
It's almost though they want to try and lay down the law here and show they're still in control, because there's been a lot of talk about the British Boxing Board of Control and how they dealt with the Conor Benn situation, how they deal with other situations. And it's almost like they want to remind people, we are the law. Nothing will happen on our watch. And I'm like, dude, like, nobody cared.
No.
Like, no. For the first 20 seconds when people thought it might have been glass, okay. After that, it was kind of funny.
Yeah, everyone
kind of funny. The egg slap, considering what Conor Benn ingested in order to fail a drugs test, eggs, all that. It kind of made sense. It was a bit of a joke.
Exactly. If you think about it like this, Nigel said, oh, I thought it was glass as well. Once he found out it was an egg, he was just straight away saying, yeah, sorry. He even saw, I don't want to say he saw the humour in it, but he was like, it's nothing, really.
Yeah. I'll be shocked. I know, as you said, Chris has said it was worth it. I will be shocked. Knowing Chris and his people and his team and who he is, I would be astounded if Chris gives them 100,000. I'll be shocked if there isn't a behind the scenes, okay, pay 10 and we'll just move on from it.
Yeah, I reckon that's what it'll be.
Do you know what I mean?
I reckon that's what it'll be. Yeah. We'll move on, we'll pay 10. We're saying it's 100 grand, but really just give us 5-10 grand and that's it. That's the end of it.
Yeah. On the Eubank Ben thing, obviously, again, we're filming this on Wednesday evening. They're on the Piers Morgan show. Is it Friday or Thursday?
It's on a Friday.
It's on a Friday, which is a shame because they've shown a few snippets.
It looks epic,
and it looks
doesn't
really
it?
good.
It looks really good.
It looks really, really good.
It's probably the closest thing we're going to get to a kind of DAZN face-to-face.
Yeah.
And you Piers Morgan in between.
Yeah, and it's weird though because the way they're seated, kind of Piers is over there, and they're actually they're near each other. It reminds me of how their dads were seated when they did the signing for their fight back in 1990. So yeah, look, it's the closest we're going to get. It's a big platform for them. The fight is now sold out. I think all 65,000 tickets have gone.
Well, the trailers have me hooked.
Yeah.
The trailers, as soon as I seen them, I was like, right, whatever time it's on Friday, I'm watching.
Yeah. I've always said, if you're an undercard fighter in these type of shows, yes, it's fantastic because you're on a big show and you're going to walk out. But it almost must be weird that you don't get talked about at all. Like, no one's talking about Chef Clark versus Vidal Riley.
Which is crazy.
Good a fight
That's a great fight.
Yeah, probably the best fight on the card.
I was going to say, like, literally, it probably
no
is.
One's talking about it.
Genuine 50-50, domestic level dust up. I mean, I can't wait to see that fight.
And
That's
I think
the
it's
fight
walking first.
That's crazy.
I think it's walking first. So I always wonder, for a fight like that, yes, I fought at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but by the time they walk out, which I'm guessing will be around 7 o'clock, there will probably be about 4,000 people in there max.
4,000 or 5,000.
And because they're all sort of splattered around, it'll feel like it's empty. I wonder how it feels to be a fight like that. Or maybe it's just a case of I fought on one of the biggest cards of the year. I have no idea how.
I'm sure for them it's more so the platform they're on.
Yeah.
To be on DAZN, to have, because they know people even at that time, they might not be in the arena, but they're watching on TV.
Fact.
So they're just thinking, look, whoever sees me, I don't really care. It's got to be weird though, because as you say, they're all kind of spread out in the arena. I remember when Dubois fought Joshua, you didn't see, like, at ringside, you didn't really until like the last fight or something like that really see it packed out.
Yeah.
I mean, you could clearly see who was there. You're like, oh, Tommy Fury's there, John Fury's there.
I hate that. That's one thing I hate about boxing compared to the UFC. I've been to a few UFC events and they are packed from the beginning. People come for the event, whereas boxing fans seem to turn up for the main event, not even co-main, main event only. And I think that's a shame, and that's something that needs to be fixed in boxing. All right, that's April 26th, so we are 5 weeks away. So we'll get to that when we need to get to that in terms of predictions and all that good stuff. We might even do something special around the event as well. Let's talk about matters at hand right now and the heavyweight division, the big boys. I think it's all been a bit of a mess, mainly because we don't know what Fury's doing. He's teasing us and he's coming back, he's not coming back. We don't know what AJ's doing. And up until, I guess, 24 hours ago, we didn't know what USYK and Dubois were doing. We kind of do now. Krasiuk did an interview with Sky Sports, and he's basically said that negotiations have already started for a Dubois-USYK showdown, Wembley Stadium in the summer.
Wembley Stadium in the summer sounds very, very nice, but look, don't get me wrong. I want to see Dubois versus USYK too. I think it's going to be an interesting fight, especially this time around. But Wembley Stadium, do you really think Dubois and USYK can fill that?
No.
There you go.
No. Wait, what do we mean by fill?
So I'm thinking, are they looking at 90, 80,000? Do we think we can get close to that?
No.
Exactly.
No. And I don't even think we can get close to it. I think Usyk's popularity is big, but we have to understand it's big when it's fighting AJ or when it's fighting Fury.
Fury, exactly.
Dubois' popularity is big, yes, when he's fighting AJ. I don't think people understand the size and the magnitude and the popularity of Fury and AJ. And I don't think it's a case of like the old Highlander movies where you chop their head off and win them and all of a sudden you get their power. I don't think it's like that. I think it's a push. The want to always go to stadiums baffles me. I get it from a gate receipt thing, but man, we've had some of the greatest events ever in the O2 Arena.
The O2 Arena, you look at some of the best fights they've ever had in the US. They've been in New York, MSG, they've been in Vegas, with the low ceilings, everyone crammed in.
Packed.
And you love that as well. I love seeing everyone 100%. Just crammed in. A stadium, you're kind of like, and then you know the worst thing is when you see like the fans who take a video and you're kind of like, you paid for that, you'd need binoculars to see the guys.
Yeah, you're a mile away. You're basically you're not even watching the ring. You're watching.
You're watching the monitors.
Yeah, so there's no point. So look, I think it could do a stadium, but if we are being very realistic or very optimistic, I think you're looking at the Tottenham Stadium, which is 65,000, and you get 40 in there, and it looks busy.
Exactly that.
I think that's the number. So for me, I don't know. I can imagine, look, it's probably going to be a Riyadh season or ring event. And obviously, they saw what AJ Dubois did, and it was the most spectacular thing we've seen in years. And they're probably thinking, we want that again.
It was.
We want that again. And no Dubois, no party. Sorry, no AJ.
I was literally going to say,
no AJ, no party.
It was AJ who sold that place.
It was AJ who sold that place.
It was Dubois who got booed going to the ring.
Yeah.
So they'll tune in
for AJ.
He is
a star now, though, isn't he? Or is he not?
Dubois.
Is he not?
It's very difficult. I mean, I know he's not exactly the most charismatic guy there is, but I think that when he beat AJ, he should have done, I know it wouldn't have been the easiest, but the talk show scene. Just even if it was doing the chase, doing Jonathan Ross or something like that, just to get him known to the wider public.
Because he's a bit of a character.
Exactly.
Bit of a character.
He literally beat Anthony Joshua. He did, I think Simon Jordan and something else, and then that's it. He's in the wilderness again until this next fight. And I just think the fans, they'll remember Anthony Joshua getting knocked out, but they're not going to be like, oh, I got to watch this Daniel Dubois guy now. He's not giving them a reason to.
Yeah, no, you're right. Okay, could Dubois Parker have done the O2? Like, I need to understand how big you think Dubois is.
Dubois Parker would have cleared the O2 out.
Okay, so Dubois Usyk then, I mean, if Dubois Parker clears the O2, then Dubois Usyk definitely clears the O2.
Oh, easy.
Okay, so it is a small stadium fight then.
It's a small stadium fight.
It's just not the biggest national stadium.
If you wanted to do it, like you said, Tottenham Hotspur, I've no doubt it could do great numbers there. But Wembley Stadium, like, are we talking, it's not going to touch AJ, it's not going to touch Fury. No, I'm being a bit generous. I'm saying it could maybe do Carl Froch, but that's Carl Froch, George Groves. It can't do that, 80,000.
No chance.
And do you really want to see Wembley Stadium kind of, because I know they can do it, they can turn it down.
I say no chance,
like that.
I do feel like boxing fans now just like an event. It's got to that stage now where they like an event, they want to be somewhere. The undercard we know will be packed.
It'll be amazing.
They'll stack the undercard, wouldn't they? So maybe we're just being a bit harsh on Dubois here. Maybe there is a push going on behind him that we don't really see in terms of his new followers. Like, you look at his Instagram, his numbers have gone up. Like, he's, every clip that he puts out there seems to do good numbers. So he's definitely got a following. And let's not forget, you need a dance partner. Usyk's a good dance partner.
Oh, Usyk's a great dance partner.
They love Usyk over here.
Oh, he's loved over here.
They love Usyk over here. So maybe we're being a bit harsh. Maybe it does do a good number. I just feel like Wembley's just, unless you're AJ or Fury, I just don't see it. Do you know what it is?
I think we seen Usyk in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with Anthony Joshua 4 years ago. And then he did his own stadium in Poland, which is near enough to where he's from. Against Daniel Dubois. But that's literally on the border with Ukraine, so it's kind of different. The rest of the time, it's always been in Saudi, where, as good as it is, you're not having to get 80, 90,000 there.
And not just that, they're all Fury fans.
And they're all Fury
fans.
I think maybe we could be underestimating Usyk's pull in the UK, because if you think about it, he's not been back since. He's literally, his last fight in the UK was against Anthony Joshua nearly 4 years ago. So how has his popularity gone since then? It's gone up. How much? I think this would be the ultimate acid test.
Yeah.
And you think about it, is when he was at Chisora versus Joyce, at the minute they put the camera on Usyk,
the crowd go mad.
The crowd went ballistic.
Every time he's anywhere, the crowd go
exactly.
mad. I've seen his reaction just walking around. The crowd go mad. Parker.
He is.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, if you're Joseph Parker right now, I mean, you're there, you're ready to fight Dubois, you're in the best shape of your life, right? He's going into that fight, a slight underdog, but he's going into that fight as a live dog nonetheless. You don't fight Dubois on 24 hours notice, you fight Martin Bakole, you knock him out, and all of a sudden you are again in the wilderness.
Exactly.
You're in the wilderness again. This is almost unfair. Like, really and truly, he should be fighting Dubois or Usyk.
That's exactly.
He should be fighting one of them.
It's only fair.
He's fighting neither.
He's the interim champ of the WBO. They're not going to call that. He looked good against Martin Bakole, but again, Martin Bakole on 24 hours notice. And he's already spent a year in the wilderness. I don't want to see him spend another year in the wilderness. It's not fair. It's not right. He needs a big fight. At the very least, he should be on the undercard Dubois versus Usyk and should fight the winner.
Okay. That's all well and good. But if we play if we deduct what every single fight is doing right now, there is no fight for him out there.
That's the
problem. There's no fight out for him there. I mean, he's not going to fight AJ.
No, he's not going to fight AJ.
AJ's not fighting Joseph Parker. What for?
Yeah.
What for? AJ, honestly, just waiting for Tyson Fury or bust, it seems.
Basically.
Maybe Dubois, but that. And we know Kabayel, and we'll get to it now. Kabayel's been offered to everyone, and it looks like that person could be Deontay Wilder. Crazy. So there's no one out there. Martin Bakole's fighting a fair Jagba. Fabio Wardley's fighting Kubrat Pulev. There's literally no one out there. The only person... Oh.
I think, are we on the same ball?
Wait. What does his name begin with?
D.
Any surname?
W. Just because of the rematch.
He's the only one.
That's literally it.
That's literally the only guy. Dillian White.
Yeah.
It is the only guy.
The Joe Joyce fight ain't happening.
Yeah. Dude, my
Rematch
conspiracy theory, I'm not joking, I'm such a conspiracy theorist with all this bullshit. That Daniel Dubois just randomly pulls out of a fight 24 hours before, or 48 hours before he's supposed to fight. We don't hear anything from him apart from a little Instagram post, I think, a couple of weeks ago. And Dillian White pulls out because of what? A finger
injury.
Finger injury.
He said
kidding me?
He said it got caught on a weight.
Oh,
and like,
whatever.
okay, fair enough, right? But it looked literally like someone took a knife and went slash.
God.
You're like, okay.
I don't know anymore, man. I don't know. But yeah, look, I think that's the only one where I think Joseph, he'll still be pissed off because it's not a world title fight. He wants a world title fight. But it's the only one that kind of is out there that's a big fight for him.
It makes some money. Yeah. They have history. They can sell the first fight.
Co-main or main?
I'd say co-main. Co-main.
Yeah.
But Joseph Parker will absolutely steamroll Dillian White.
Yeah.
It won't even be
this version of Parker steamrolls this version of Dillian White.
It's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking about 2-3 round blowout.
And I think he'd want it. I think he'd want a bit of retribution. I think he'd want it. I mean, it's the loss on his record that's kind of a weird one. And I think it would want to get that W.
He'll look at that fight thinking, I should have won that fight. I should have won it. I should have started earlier. If they didn't call the headbutt and knockdown, I would have won that round. So he'll look at that thinking, that's the one loss I'm not happy with because I really should have won it. Yeah. And if he goes in there, he'll do a demolition job on Dillian White easily.
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree with you as well. I'm a big Dillian White fan, but this version of Dillian White, I mean, again, I have nightmares of the Ebenezer Tete.
Oh man, that was so bad.
Dude, I have nightmares.
That was...
I actually saw Ebenezer Tete fight again recently. He fought like a couple of weeks ago again.
And how bad did he look?
He got stopped again in that fight.
Oh my God.
He got stopped
did he?
again.
Oh, no.
He's just doing the rounds. I'm like, doesn't he get a medical suspension anytime soon? He's just doing the rounds. We mentioned Agit Kabayel there because the WBC, Mauricio Solomon, has said that he's willing to let Alexander Usyk fight for his undisputed, so he's not going to call the mandatory. And like Joseph Parker, the WBO, Agit Kabayel, the WBC, is the interim. He's the mandatory. So they're kind of doing the rounds again as to who could fight Agit Kabayel. Mauricio Solomon mentioned AJ. That's not going to happen. Mentioned Tyson Fury. No. Ain't going to happen. Mentioned Deontay Wilder. The floor is yours.
Yeah, that one was really weird. Like, Deontay Wilder was ranked 12th by the WBC.
Yeah. How is he even still 12th?
He's lost his last 2 fights. If you want me to be really brutal, since December 2019, he's won 1 fight.
Wow, Hellenius.
And
that was a 1-round blowout.
And he's had 5 fights since then. So you're talking once a year he's had a fight.
Yeah.
Out of those 5 years, he's won 1 fight.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
And that's why I'm saying how he's still even ranked. Like Chisora's ranked number 14.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chisora's more worthy of an Agit Kabayel fight than Deontay Wilder.
Chisora has 2 better wins in his last 2 fights than Wilder's had in 5 years.
That's crazy, actually. You're right.
In
Otto
5 years.
Wallin and Joe Joyce.
Otto Wallin and Joe Joyce.
That's solid, actually, isn't it?
It's actually quite solid.
It's quite solid.
It's much better than
Why do you
Robert
always shit
Lenius.
on Chisora? Why do we always do it then? That's actually 2 very good wins.
I think we just realise how many losses he's had and we're just like, but then we like Joe Joyce and Otto Wallin back to back. That's pretty good going.
It is. Deontay Wilder's 39. So aside from the defeats, he's 39 years of age. And you know the worst thing about Deontay Wilder is he's a puncher that is now afraid to punch.
Yeah.
And he's a bully. And I don't mean this negatively because that's what he was in the ring. He'll bully you. That has now been bullied back. Exactly. You know, the school bully, them kind of American teen films where the bully gets bullied and all of a sudden he kind of cowardly sort of hides away. Certainly not calling Deontay Wilder a coward, but the Deontay Wilder that we used to see that used to bully people and almost walk to the ring and create fear, that guy doesn't exist anymore.
He doesn't exist. I don't think he can find him.
Really?
He just seems, between him losing and him just being now set in life, it's just almost like he's like, do you know what? I'm just happy to be here. He's just turned into the guy who's just happy to be here. And in his prime, he was never the best. Like Wilder had 2 left feet.
Why is that, by the way? I mean, this is a guy that was a bronze medal in the Olympic Games. And look, I always find it, I think we give a bit too much credit to, especially in the heavyweight division because people can punch. But how have they not improved his boxing ability?
Well, I don't want to sound harsh on this, but I've seen fighters like there was a light heavyweight called, I think Damon Nicholson or something, who came out of the exact same gym, and it's literally like, this is Deontay Wilder at light heavyweight.
Oh, same. Okay.
It's just, they just seem to just, can you punch? Yeah, that's all you need to do.
Yeah, and they've not added to his arsenal, and it's a shame because obviously at 39, and we critique Malik Scott a lot, but Malik Scott only had him for his last 3 fights, I think it is. No,
He's had it
2
for 4 years.
Is it? Yeah, but how many fights in those 4 years? How many training sessions? How many camps?
Fury, Scott. That's 4 fights.
Yeah, 4 fights. But beforehand, I mean, look, Malik can only do certain amounts of magic, and I think Malik got him when, unfortunately, there was nothing left.
Well, I think he got a damage Wilder. He got Wilder post Fury too. I mean, he took damage in that fight if ever I seen it.
Yeah, we think Joseph Parker's been hard done by here, but Agit Kabayel.
Oh man.
I mean, I'm sorry if I'm Agit Kabayel, I'm like, okay, what the fuck's going on here? Because at the end of the day, I beat Arsenal Bekmambetov. I was the underdog. I beat him. Everyone thought this guy was going to be the next bloody Vitaly Klitschko, a giant-looking guy. Then I beat Frank Sanchez, the boogeyman. No one wanted to fight Frank. I know that for a fact. No one wanted to fight him. Cuban, power, mover. No one wanted to fight him. And then I stop Zhili Zhang. Yes, he's lost a couple of times, but no one stopped him.
No.
And what am I doing again? You put me in the wilderness. And you're offering me Deontay Wilder, who's, as you say, won 1 fight in 5 years, or whatever it is.
I think the biggest problem for Agit Kabayel, he's always, even before he had this run, was always that who needs him. Joseph Parker has that little bit of a name. He has that little bit of a name to make him kind of, oh yeah, we'll fight him. That's why they did the Joe Joyce fight. That's why they've done several fights with him. He had that little bit of pulling power.
He's got it.
Whereas
right.
Agit Kabayel is just
nothing.
like, I do not
Do you
want to
think
fight
that's
you.
what it is, basically?
Yeah, basically.
Because there's no reward.
There's
because
literally
he doesn't
no
sell
reward.
tickets. He's not a big name. Is that it? Basically comes down to that?
Yeah, if you went into, say, a pub and said, "Oh, Joseph Parker's fighting." Joseph Parker, I've heard him before. Oh, he fought Joshua. Oh, yeah, he did, and he was meant to fight. Oh, I've seen Joseph Parker a few times. Agit Kabayel. Who's he?
It's crazy.
That's what it'd be.
So as much as then that's interesting. If that's your take on it, but so as much as I've kind of discredited Mauricio Solomon for bringing up Deontay Wilder, if you're an Agit Kabayel, you're maybe thinking, "I'll take that."
Oh yeah, you
because
jump
I get
at
that name.
Oh, you jump at that.
Okay, so maybe it happens then. As much as I don't think it's right, as much as I don't think it should be how it should be, like there's no way Deontay Wilder should be going into an interim title fight.
Definitely not.
Right? No way. And that's why people laugh about the ranking system and say it's corrupt and fraudulent. But if you're Agit Kabayel, you probably take it.
Oh, you take it 100%. You'd be like, well, that's a big name on my scalp, big name on my resume. Is it going to help my profile? Probably not. But it's a guarantee. Well, nothing's guaranteed in this world, but it's pretty much a guaranteed win against Deontay Wilder.
Literally. I don't know. There'll be some listening to this saying, "Ade, come on, Wilder's got the power." I'm sorry, stop it.
Not at this minute.
Yeah.
Look, Zhang had the power, but did that stop him?
Yeah, and then when Wilder threw and decided to finally throw, he got caught and got knocked out, and he's too small. Now all of a sudden you look at him and think, he's just small for a heavyweight. And yeah, I want him to stay retired.
So do I.
I want him to stay retired. I mean, I don't know why we do this all the time, where we try and just drag him back and offer money. He's made a lot of money. Let him be.
I think that's the problem with people like Sullivan and promoters. They'll just be like, "Oh, would you be willing to come back? Yeah, okay, there you go. Here's some money. You're going to get our guy's name boosted up the rankings. You're going to get his name out there. There you go." And I think the fighters are all too happy to take it. They probably still believe deep down, "Oh, if I can find that guy, I can just do it."
If I can land just one, and no, stop. You can't. It's over. And it's sad when you see some of your favorite fighters sort of diminish.
Exactly.
But it's over. It's over. Before we talk TKO, there's been a few more updates from Dana White. Very quickly, yay or nay on this, sticking with the heavyweight division, will we see AJ Fury this year?
Yeah. I'm convinced we're gonna see it.
I think that's more of your heart, of your head.
I think it's my head and heart.
Yeah, really?
My heart says I want to see it, but my head is like, Fury's not going to stay retired. I'm sure AJ is at this point in his career where he's going to be very selective with fights. And if he even thinks for a second there's a shot at that, he's not going to look for anyone else. He's just going to look for Fury.
Where does the fight happen?
Wembley Stadium.
Okay, so we can't have 2 fights at Wembley Stadium.
Principality. Old Trafford.
Oh, yeah. The Old Trafford as well, right? Not the New Trafford.
No, please no.
Old Trafford.
Let's not have that. Please no.
The Old Trafford. All right, TKO Boxing League. Obviously, look, has dominated the back pages, dominated everything in terms of headlines. Dana White at the post-fight UFC press conference spoke about a few things. And one of the key things that came out of what he said was that fewer weight classes. Boxing traditionally had 8 weight classes. I think it's got 18 if you count Bridgerweight, which I know every organization body doesn't look at, but 18. Is he onto something here? Is there too many weight classes?
There is, but the problem with that is if you want to set up your organization, if you want to set TKO up to have 8 weight classes, you are going to have fighters who are going to be like, well, Eddie and Frank will let me fight at super middleweight. I don't have to go from middle all the way to light heavyweight. I don't really fancy doing that. I'll stick with Eddie and Frank. You risk really dividing the fighters then. That's the problem, because you'll have fighters who are happy to go, oh, I want to be, put it like this.
But ain't fighters cheating weights anyway? And what I mean by that is that there are fighters that clearly should be weights above. That kill themselves to get down to weight below. Won't this kind of give it a bit more structure where you are now finally fighting at your proper weight class?
You'd think that, but a lot of these fighters want the glory of saying, look, I'm a world champion. I know I'm not going to get it at 160, so I'm going to boil myself down to 147 or 154. I can get it there. Look at Jarrett Hurt.
It's crazy.
As soon as he went to 160, the minute he went there, just his career went down. 154, he could bully everybody.
Yeah, I find it interesting because a lot of the best weight classes right now are the newer, if you like, weight classes,
That's
right?
the catch.
I mean, the cruiserweight division's been really good,
Always good.
Tire. And it's funny because TKO's first big event is super middleweight. Mm-hmm. And that is, again, a new weight class.
That's a new weight,
part of the
80s,
originals.
I think.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see which weight classes they do pick. But I feel like Dana White's looking at it from a UFC perspective where welterweights, for example, are 170, then middleweights are 185, then light heavyweights are 205. I mean, you jump in 15, then
Massive
you jump in
jumps.
20 pounds.
Yeah.
So he probably looks at some weight classes. He probably looks at 118 to 122 to 126 to 130 and probably thinks, what the hell is this? Why do you need 4 weight classes covering 12 pounds?
What do you think about, as much as we love fighters like Chocolatito Gonzalez, Naoya Inoue, in those low weight divisions, you're talking 3 pounds per weight.
Dude, you're talking a toilet visit.
Literally. So you're talking, oh, I'm a 4-time world champion. Okay, you've gone up 10 pounds your whole career. Whereas you could say, I'm a 4-weight world champion. I started at 140. Now I'm at 168. That's different. You've gone up 20 plus nearly 30 pounds. There's a big difference. There's a chasm.
Yeah. Do you think he will do it? Do you think this TKO Boxing League will remove weight classes? Do you think their own sort of ruler?
Now, that's a tricky one. I don't know how you do that. Yeah. Because again, as I said, you can go in with the assumption, I am going to have the original weight classes, but you will have fighters who will say, well, I'm either a super middleweight or a middleweight. I'm not in between. And if you want me to fight like middleweight, you want me to go up, I ain't going to 175.
You know what, though? I do look at a weight class, and especially, look, the TKO boxing thing, I think predominantly will happen in America first, right? That's where it is, because that's where the sport's broken.
Yeah.
Hence why HBO decided to go, Showtime decided to go. It's all over the place in America. PBC don't put on shows regularly, and when they do, they're not that great. The numbers aren't great. I look at a weight class like 140. And I look at some of the guys at 135, the Keyshawn Davises of the world, Shakur Stevens, I think can go up to 140. I look at the 140 guys right now. I just feel, what I'm trying to say is that I feel there's a group in there of a lot of guys that can make 140, of superstar fighters. All the fighters on this recent press conference tour can make 140.
Oh, yeah.
All of them. I know even Ramirez says he can't, he will for the money.
Oh, for the money.
Devin Haney will. So will Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, Rolly Romero. And then you add the 135 guys. 140 seems to be a division where I feel like they might say, you know what? 140 division.
That's the new welterweight, so to speak,
That's
or the new lightweight.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Yeah.
That would actually be a good idea. And actually, that's one thing I didn't think about, is you're saying there's going to be new weights, but we don't know the weight limit. We're just assuming he's going to put it, all right, lightweight's always been 135, so it's going to stay that way.
No, he can make his own thing.
Exactly. He could be like, well, no, lightweight in this is 140, 141.
Dude, he can do anything. It honestly sounds like he can do anything. And I think it's going to be a very intriguing and fascinating next few months.
The next 6 months are going to be so interesting, because the more we start to learn about it, because bear in mind, we've probably not even scratched the surface. We've literally got the announcement last week, and Dane has given us a few little bits of information. We're probably not even scratching the surface.
Yeah, Frank Warren mentioned a few things today. It's been interesting, watching the promoters almost want to come out and just go crazy with what Turkey said, but also realizing that they do work with this man that's made them hundreds of millions in the last 12 months and potentially can make more. So even though he said stuff like, I want to crush every promotion, and I'm with a boxing promoter now that's going to change the sport, I can imagine what Frank and Eddie really want to say, and almost having to kind of bite their tongue on this. But you can almost see behind the scenes that things are working, whereby what they did with Turkey was like a bonus, and they almost need to get back to their bread and butter.
Exactly.
Of life before Turkey. What was that like?
I think we're seeing it now with the shows they're putting on the zone. Like their UK-based shows, in comparison to last year, straight away off the bat this year, it's just gone.
It's interesting, isn't it? They're bigger in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Eddie did say in an interview, said, we've known about this for years. So we knew about this TKO thing. He said it. He said in an interview with Stomping Ground, I think it was. He said we've known about it for ages. So already, now us knowing that, you're right. The shows this year look so much better.
Oh yeah, man, it's night and day already, and we're not even scratching the surface of this year yet. So I think with them, they're kind of knowing, right, this was fun while it lasted. I'm sure they're still going to do work with Turkey, maybe just not the same capacity. But now it's like, right, let's get back to what we were doing, which is get the best shows we can on these shores or abroad if you're Eddie Hearn in his case. And I think we're seeing that straight away. I mean, just look at Frank's first show on the Zone. Look at his first actual couple of shows on the Zone. Great fights.
Honestly, really incredible. All right, let's talk about a couple of fights this weekend. Amma Williams is back. This will be his second fight since losing to Hamza Shiraz.
Yes.
So a bit of a rebuild still going on. Although I thought he was brave in that Hamza Shiraz fight. Hamza had
his moments.
Hamza looked incredible.
He looked incredible. He really
honestly
did.
Hamza looked so good. I thought he was going to be a world champion. I thought 100% Hamza, and he still might be that. But
shows how good Adamas is.
Dude, that's exactly what I thought. Because Hamza made Ammo at times look like 2 or 3 levels below.
Oh, he really did.
And at times, Adamas made Hamza look a couple of levels below. So it shows, right? As soon as you go up a little bit, just jump a couple of scales. That gap from being a world champion or at least a fringe world title challenger to an actual world champion in certain weight classes, it makes me wonder how good Alan Canali really is.
Yeah, because no one really
no one
mentions
wants to fight him.
No one.
No one wants to fight him. So he must be really, really good. But Amma Williams back. Again, it's good to see him back though.
Yeah, I think he's a good fighter.
Him because he's been through a lot mentally and physically.
Yeah, and he's had a bit of bad luck in his career as well. Remember, he was meant to fight Felix Cash for the longest, and that just got kind of strung along, and he was bit in the wilderness then for a little while. I think he's a talented fighter. I think that just that night against Hamza Shiraz, man, there was no stopping Hamza Shiraz that night.
Yeah, incredible. I'm actually speaking to Hamza, I think, in a couple of days. He wants to speak about just Riyadh season in general, which is going to be an interesting one. Yeah, because he's getting a lot of stick. I don't know if you realise about Hamza.
It's not his fault.
Yeah, he's getting stick like it's his fault, which is crazy. Like he's getting stick because of Turkey attending the scorecards. He's getting stick because
that was Chris Mannix's scorecard. It wasn't even the official one.
And Hamza's getting stick, so I can't wait to speak to Hamza because I'm a big Hamza fan. Edgar Berlanga in action as well.
Yes.
Against an opponent who he really shouldn't be fighting, to be honest with you.
This is his first fight back since he lost to Canelo.
It is, but come on.
I know. No, I know. I get that. And I think the plan was, had Bruno Sarasis not knocked out Jaime Munguia, now they're having a rematch, I think they would have done it.
Yeah.
I would have made, well, do you know what? I would have always said Jaime's favourite until I seen that Bruno Sarasis knockout when the guy had 4 knockouts. So I'm like, oh God, what might happen there? But look, Berlanga, he's a big guy. He's a big puncher. He's definitely got power. But I've always said about him, he's so limited. Like, we've really seen his limitations in the Canelo fight. Very game, very tough. But God, he's got limitations.
Yeah, and I think he's almost got this opponent to go back to what he was before. Remember, he was knocking at everyone
when he was with Top Rank. 16-0, 16 knockouts all in one round.
All in one round. So I think he's almost wanting to kind of get that again and remind people that he is that guy when at the top level he isn't.
No.
It's funny because he's done a few interviews recently, almost digging out Eddie Hearn. I'm like, Eddie gave you the Canelo fight, dude.
Literally.
Like, you were so far down the pecking order, and let's be honest, you only jumped the queue because of Eddie, and you're digging out Eddie, because I think Eddie's upset about this. I think this is he's got 1 fight left, and this is it, basically, with Matchroom. And then it's up to him to re-up or decide what he wants to do. And I think they're upset that he's decided to take this one, basically.
Yeah.
I think there's a feeling of, well, it could be Pacheco, it could have been Christian Mbili, it could have been Caleb Plant, it could have been a big one.
If this is your last fight, we want you to go out on a high with Matchroom, not just go and say, bye, see you later, here I am.
And that's always my worry when everyone gets the Canelo check. I always like, okay, what are they going to do after? How are they going to react to that? Like Jamel Charlo's vanished.
Yeah.
Jamel Charlo's literally
Billy
vanished.
Joe Saunders.
Billy Joe Saunders
never fought again.
Never fight. Exactly. And I do wonder, it kind of shows like what happens when you fight Canelo, which is why I rate Callum Smith, by the way.
I was literally towards he was the one I was going to mention. He went straight, I want a world title.
Yeah, I want a world title. Okay, it's not working at 168. Let's go 175. Okay, that didn't work against the champion. Let's go in again. Well, these other guys seem to like either vanish from the face of the earth or go so far backwards. I'm like, 1 second, Berlanga. You didn't get knocked out. You went all the way with Canelo.
Their goal is, I always say, their goal isn't necessarily to beat Canelo. It's just to get that fight. They've achieved their goal, and now it's like, right, I've got that big, wallet full of money. What do I do now? Some of them, like Callum Smith, they're like, right, go again. I still have things I want to do in boxing. Someone like Berlanga, and I think Munguia to an extent, all they ever talked about was Canelo. Right, you've got to, now what?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, final one. This is one I just forgot, but because we were talking about big American fights, I just remembered it. And this is the Dimitri Bivol situation with Benavidez and Beterbiev. You smile, so I'm happy we're both on the same wavelength here. So just to kind of bring people up to speed on this, obviously we saw Bivol Beterbiev 2, fantastic fight. You think that we would go into a 3 because the fights were so close between the two. The WBC have said, okay, 1 second, we kind of want to give our guy a shot now, Benavidez. And initially, Turkey was certainly on board with the idea, hence why Benavidez was ringside. I saw him. Now, Turkey has basically said, no, I don't want to see the Benavidez fight. I want to see Bivol Beterbiev. What would you want to see more? Bivol Beterbiev 3 or Bivol Benavidez?
That's a tricky one for me because I think the longer you leave it, the more one-sided a Beterbiev trilogy would be in Bivol's favour because Beterbiev's not getting any younger.
Yeah, of course.
But at the same time, I've seen it twice. They were epic. Benavidez against Bivol. Oh my God.
Yeah.
How
I almost feel like
Bivol
it's
do?
unfair though for Beterbiev. Like this is 1-1. It's 1 apiece.
And there
has to be a
like,
trilogy.
Literally razor close.
They're razor. I mean, literally 24 rounds. You could say there's 12 rounds apiece.
Exactly.
Or 11-13 either way. That's how close this is. So surely, and I'm with you. Like, if Beterbiev was 35, I'd say, okay, no, do Benavidez.
Yeah, so would I.
And then we can wait for Beterbiev in a couple of years. He's 40, going to be 41.
He'll be 41 next year.
There you go.
Well, January next year.
And he looked 40 in the last couple of rounds.
He slowed down.
So I think if you're Bivol, the money on offer to fight Beterbiev the third time round will be way more than the money PBC can pay you to fight Benavidez.
And does it need to be undisputed?
No.
They've both had their shot at being undisputed. At this point now.
You think vacate?
Yeah, I think so. I think Beterbiev Bivol 3 is you can sell that like that. Does it need undisputed again? First time it was undisputed, second time it was. They both had their turn. We just want to see a winner.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. And then Benavidez can fight Callum Smith. And then Bivol
That'd be a great fight.
Yeah, and then Bivol Beterbiev fight the winner of that.
Fight the winner, become undisputed again. There you go.
Yeah, I agree.
Bit like what Alexander Usyk is doing, if you think about it.
Yeah. No, it's a good shout. I almost feel like Bivol's under pressure to make sure he sticks with Turkey. And there has to be some sort of loyalty here because there was no money in the Bivol Beterbiev fight. No one wanted to put it up. No one wanted to pay for it because it's a fight that does no numbers. All of a sudden, Turkey said, I'll pay for it. I'll give you guys what I think you're worth, which is way more than anyone else was given. So I almost feel like there needs to be a bit of loyalty from Bivol. And I think Beterbiev 3 has to happen.
In boxing, though, is there a place for loyalty?
Absolutely not. It's the wild west. I'm loyal to you, G-Man.
You're loyal to me, I'm loyal to you as
there
well.
There you go.
Got off the plane, came straight here.
Hey, by the way, he came in straight from the plane. He literally landed from Ireland about an hour ago. And he's here filming. But last week, I came from New York.
You came from New York.
That's how much we want to get these videos done for you guys. All right, episode 7 is in the books. Thank you so much to G-Man as well. Thank you much to my cameraman behind me, Nathaniel, who does so much work behind. His link is in the description as well. If you ever need the best cameraman in the business, Nathaniel's your guy. And G-Man's description to his YouTube channel is there as well.
Make
sure you subscribe. How's the numbers getting on?
Numbers are going well. Numbers are going very well. And just on what
What's
you
the
said,
next target?
Oh, it's going to be 30k.
30.
It's not even 25, it's 30k.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just on what you said as well, Nathaniel is easily the best in the business.
Easily the best in the business. Honestly, I had to quickly shout him out. All right, guys. Anyway, we will see you next week.